What are the web's most asked questions about Baldur's Gate 3? What's up, my juicy gamers? It's Juicer here. Today, we're going to be answering some of the web's most asked questions about Baldur's Gate 3. I came up with this idea when I was searching Google for Baldur's Gate 3. I was doing research for videos and thought, you know what? There are a ton of commonly asked questions, so why not just make that into a video? For some context, Baldur's Gate 3 is an upcoming RPG created by Larian Studios. Larian Studios are the developers of Divinity Original Sin and Divinity Original Sin 2. And after the success of that series, Wizards of the Coast gave Larian the go-ahead to make Baldur's Gate 3. If you've never played Baldur's Gate 2, you're probably not alone. The game came out almost 20 years ago. The Baldur's Gate franchise was incredibly successful in the late 90s and early 2000s, and it was based on the Dungeons and Dragons handbook. So let's get into it. What are the most asked questions? The first and most common one is, why isn't the game out yet? I'm going to take this as kind of two questions. So the game is coming out. It's coming out August 3rd. But what the question is really asking is, how come the early access was so long? Early access came out in 2020, August of 2020. So this will be almost 3 years of early access development. Larian Studios had just finished Divinity Original Sin 2 when they started their work on Baldur's Gate 3, and it uses the same physics engine and same general style as Divinity Original Sin 2. Even with the 3-year long early access, Larian surprised us by actually moving up the release date. It was originally supposed to be late August, and then they moved the PC release up to August 3rd. Larian Studios has stated that they really wanted to do right by Baldur's Gate 3, so they were going to take their time with the development of the game. That seems to be why it's taken 3 years since early access, which had Act 1 already in it and limited classes and stuff, but it was still a pretty decent build of the game in the beginning. The next most common question is, what platforms is the game coming out on? As I said in the last one, the PC release is August 3rd. As of now, the only other platform that you can play Baldur's Gate 3 on would be PlayStation 5. That release date was actually moved back a week from their original August 31st, so it'll be September 6th. The third most common question that I found on Baldur's Gate 3 is actually how long the game is. Divinity Original Sin 2 was already a very long game, so it's not surprising that people are wondering how long Baldur's Gate 3 is going to be. From everything that I've read so far, it's going to be somewhere between like 70 and 100 hours. That will be hugely variable on what you choose to do in the game. There's going to be a lot of side quests and main quests and stuff like that. But from what I'm actually hearing, it's going to be around the 70 to 100 hours, which is the same length that it took me to play Divinity Original Sin 2. The fourth question on this list is, how many classes are going to be in the game? There's a short answer and a long answer. There are 12 main classes. However, in total, with including subclasses, it's actually 46. Larian Studios actually posted a graphic that details exactly what the classes are and what the subclasses are. It should be on the screen right now. I'll tell you the main classes, but if you want to get more specific, you can look at the graphic. The 12 main classes are the Barbarian, the Fighter, the Rogue, the Bard, the Warlock, the Cleric, the Druid, the Ranger, the Sorcerer, the Monk, the Paladin, and the Wizard. This game will probably have infinite replayability if that's something that you really care about, because of the variations in classes, the variations in subclasses, and the fact that you're actually going to be rolling dice, so you'll get different outcomes each time you play the game. The final question that I'm going to go over in this video is one that I actually really appreciate because it gets at the root of the game. The question is, do choices matter in Baldur's Gate 3? The short and long answer of this is definitely yes. There are going to be tons of moments throughout Baldur's Gate. Something that you say may anger someone and it changes a trajectory. Basically, every choice you make in the game matters. You can sometimes even kill off your own party members with certain choices. Your choices absolutely 100% matter in this game, and that's part of the reason that there's a ton of replayability. I hope this helped you out with any of your basic questions for Baldur's Gate 3. I'll probably do another follow-up video after the game is released with more detail oriented questions. Like, surprisingly, I saw this a lot. There was a lot of questions about disadvantage, which is a fundamental component of Dungeons and Dragons. So I can hop on a video and answer some questions about that. Armor classes had a bunch of questions as well, but that'll have to be in a follow-up video. Let me know if you like this type of video. I plan on doing it for basically most of the video game releases that I'm interested in the future, and I'll see you in the next one.